Imagine being a kid in Moscow, 1979. The fridge almost empty, yet somehow Grandma turns nothing into a feast. Every family had these same 20 dinners, but every recipe came with a twist, a fight, or a memory no one dares forget. How did these foods become survival, comfort, and family legend? Let's find out. The truth might surprise you. Yermy, Salat Olivier. Every Russian New Year's Eve table bursts with color, yet one quiet bowl of diced potato keeps stealing the spotlight, holding a story far messier than any simple salad. At first, Salat Olivier looks like plain potato salad, but a closer look reveals intrigue and vanished luxury, plus the kind of mayonnaise history that few outside Russia ever hear about. Back in 1860s Moscow, the Hermitage restaurant glows with gas lights, and French chef Lucien Olivier draws high society with his mysterious salad. His recipe combines hazel grouse, veal tongue, crayfish tails, pickles, capers, even aspic, all held together with a special creamy sauce, while nobles whisper and try to guess his secret. One night, sous chef Ivan Ivanov sneaks a look, then leaves, launching his own knockoff, Stolichnaya salad, which starts a cascade, spreading the idea to middle-class homes across Russia. When revolution upends the old world, those fancy ingredients vanish. Families swap games for boiled kolbasa sausage, fresh peas for canned, and potatoes for the vanished aspic cubes, so the rich man's treat turns into an everyday hero on Soviet holiday tables. By the late Soviet years, if Olivier stands in a glass salad bowl, the holiday really counts. Once those plates empty, my babushka quietly slides out the fish pan, and everyone knows a new story is about to begin, centered around the river in an iron skillet. Devyatnadsataya Zharanaya Ryba. Some foods act like timers, and in my grandmother's house, fresh fish never sits long enough to get cold. Someone always rushes to clean it, salt it, and reach for the cast iron pan, because in Russia, fried fish feels as natural as skipping stones on a river. Fishing isn't just a sport or hobby, it's survival and tradition, shaping villages and cities for centuries. Orthodox fast days meant meat stayed off the menu, but river fish filled the gap, creating recipes that stick around for generations. From Karelia's smelt, honored with city festivals, to the stubborn pike that made regional pride almost a competition, everyone swears their local fish tastes best. When Uncle Kolya brings home his catch, Babushka dusts each fish in flour, fries them until even the fins snap like chips, then buries everything under slow-cooked onions and tangy smetana. That method echoes old ways, where even humble Crucian carp ended up golden and rich. The tiny bones challenge patience, yet finishing the plate means you belong. While the last bones get picked clean, water starts boiling for the one grain Russia trusts to survive anything. 18 grechka s podlivkой. Every Russian kitchen keeps a box of buckwheat like a secret weapon, sitting quietly through good times and shortages alike. This tiny triangle-shaped grain arrived by the 12th century, finding eager fans among peasants for its toughness and speedy growing season, making it perfect for Russia's unpredictable climate. By the Soviet era, the USSR grew almost 3/4 of the world's buckwheat, with Russia still leading global production today. Annual consumption hovers between 3 to 5 kilograms per person, enough that even a whisper of shortage causes panic buying in supermarkets. The word grechka becomes a stand-in for all things stable, and kasha enters proverbs like Shchi da kasha, pishcha nasha. Cabbage soup and porridge are our food. Babushka never serves buckwheat plain. She pours over meat or mushroom gravy, making every spoonful hearty and rich. Grechka gives the table a sense of calm strength, the promise that there will always be enough. When it's gone, the scent of frying onions and beef signals something more festive, stew that means guests are coming soon. 17th, Jarkoye po domashnemu. Certain dishes act like invitations, and the sound of onions hitting hot fat for Jarkoye means company is on the way. By the 17th century, Jarkoye was already the main meat dish in Russian homes, hearty, bubbling, and waiting in a deep pot for everyone to arrive. Jarkoye starts with searing beef or pork, turning every corner of the kitchen meaty and warm. Babushka adds carrots, potatoes, a bay leaf, maybe a dab of tomato paste saved from the borscht jar, and lets everything simmer until the broth thickens into gravy. The result covers dark rye bread in rich sauce, and some families joke that friends would arrive uninvited if they caught the smell from the hallway. After such a heavy, festive stew, the family usually looks for something simpler, a pan of potatoes and wild mushrooms, hinting at the quiet economy of the forest. Szesnasta kartoshka z grybami. In Russia, mushrooms act like free currency, and city people envy the way village families treat the forest as their supermarket. Kartoshka z grybami, potatoes fried with mushrooms, brings together the hunt and the kitchen in one dish that speaks to survival and nostalgia. Every summer, wild mushrooms become family projects, kids and grandparents disappearing into the woods for hours. Food writers call this potato and mushroom fry one of the most comforting dishes in the country, always ready in half an hour but never feeling rushed. Thick potato slices fry until golden, then mushrooms, chanterelles, porcini, or whatever the forest offers get added at exactly the right moment. Babushka handles the timing with care, sweating onions in sunflower oil before adding mushrooms, then layering in potatoes until everything browns. Sometimes she stirs in a little smetana and dill, but most of the time salt is enough. Hands grab for the crispiest pieces directly from the pan, skipping plates entirely. When the pan is empty, all eyes search for rice, carrots, and meat transformed into something epic in one pot. 15th, Plov. At first, Plov seems like a visitor from far away, yet one taste, and it settles into the Russian table as if it always belonged. Plov comes from Central Asia. Uzbekistan's rice, carrots, lamb, cumin, and epic scale have fed whole weddings, sometimes 1,000 guests in a single pot. During Soviet times, soldiers and students traveled east and returned home raving about Plov, spreading it through cookbooks and kitchens from Moscow to Vladivostok. In Uzbekistan, master chefs called oshpaz command giant cauldrons and ladles as big as shovels, while in Moscow apartments, grandmothers lay lamb, rice, and carrots in a heavy pot, then bury a whole head of garlic inside. Nobody dares lift the lid too soon. The first spoonful perfumed with cumin signals celebration, and after the rice vanishes, the next craving arrives. Tender little meatballs bobbing in gravy, perfect for scooping over any leftover grain. Stroganoff, Tefteli saucy. Every cook faces tired meat, but Tefteli turns scraps into triumph. Russian Tefteli, meatballs mixed with rice or bread and simmered in tomato or sour cream sauce, became heroes of thrift in Soviet homes, rescuing every last bit of protein from obscurity. School cafeterias and factory lunches kept Tefteli famous, their bright orange tomato sauce splashing onto mashed potatoes. Food historians spot similar meatballs across Eastern Europe, some with Turkish names, but in Russia the soft, saucy version takes the prize. Babushka grates onion, garlic, and dill into the mix, browns the meatballs quickly, then bathes them in bubbling sauce, letting every grain of gretchka soak up the flavor. No matter how clever you get with sauce and rice, real sailors crave a faster fix, and Russian home kitchens answer with Navy-style pasta, born on cramped ships but surviving in every city. 13. Makaroni po-flotsky. Makaroni po-flotsky begins far from fancy kitchens, born on Navy ships where space, time, and patience run short. Sailors mixed boiled pasta with fried ground meat and onions, inventing a dish that used minimal pans and filled hungry bellies fast. After World War II, as families struggled with scarce meat and relentless routines, the dish leapt from galley to home. Official cookbooks praised its speed and thrift, and soon, Soviet apartments bubbled with pots of pasta, sometimes made with canned stew called tushanka. In the 1990s, worries about reheated ground meat led health inspectors to ban it from school lunches, which only proved how deeply macaroni po-flotsky had entered everyday menus. Babushka fries ground beef with onions, tosses it with macaroni, and seasons the pot with salt and black pepper. But when payday arrives, she trades up for something more dramatic, a stuffed chicken cutlet whose center hides a burst of molten butter. Divanite. Kotleta po-Kievsky. Cutting into a kotleta po-Kievsky creates kitchen theater, as hot butter rushes across the plate and everyone fights for the first dip of bread. Behind the sizzle lies a century-long battle over who gets credit for the idea. Historians trace butter-filled chicken cutlets to 19th century France, linking recipes to chef Nicolas Appert and later to St. Petersburg's merchant clubs. Soviet chefs claim they renamed it Chicken Kiev in the 1940s for a diplomatic dinner, while menus from the 1910s already list the name. The story never settles, and Russian families ignore the squabble, focusing instead on perfecting the technique so that not a drop of butter escapes. Babushka chills the butter, wraps it tight inside pounded chicken breast, then double breads the roll for maximum crunch. When sliced, the buttery river floods potatoes and soaks up with bread, marking a rare moment when nobody speaks at the table. Next, attention turns to a classic with another noble name, beef stroganoff, both homey and grand. 11th, beef stroganoff. Few dishes feel as comforting or as fancy as beef stroganoff, with each tender slice of beef tracing its roots to one of Russia's wealthiest families. Sautéed beef in a mustard and smetana sauce, sometimes with mushrooms, shows up in 19th century cookbooks, wearing the Stroganoff name like a medal. The Stroganoffs, famous for their art collections and vast fortunes, may have hired a French chef who created the dish for an older relative needing soft meat. Another theory says Russian cooks adapted traditional recipes with a splash of French technique. By the 1900s, beef stroganoff jumped to European and American restaurants, yet Soviet canteens reserved it for rare celebrations, not lunch. At home, Babushka sears beef strips, simmers them in onion and mushroom sauce, and pours everything next to mashed potatoes. After plates clear, she quietly pulls from the oven a dish that Russians cheekily call French meat, though no Paris chef claims it as their own. Desiati, miasto po-francuski. With every bubbling cheese-crusted tray, miasto po-francuski retells a story of transformation, trading Parisian elegance for Russian practicality. In the 1800s, Count Orlov's French chef stacked veal, onions, and mushrooms, layered it with bechamel and cheese, and baked the dish to golden perfection. Soviet home cooks, lacking Gruyere and veal, adapted the idea. Pork or beef replaced veal, potatoes and tomatoes stood in for truffles, and mayonnaise became the binding sauce. For special occasions, Babushka lines a baking tray with meat, onions, and potatoes, brushes everything with mayonnaise, scatters cheese, and lets the oven finish the magic. Kids race to claim the corners where cheese burns darkest. After so much richness, the kitchen shifts back to earth, homey cutlets that show up on tables through every stage of life. Deviatia Katleti po domeshnemu. Katleti, Russia's answer to hamburgers, never makes fine dining lists, yet nothing says home like a plate of these soft, golden patties. Made from minced meat, often a blend of beef and pork, mixed with soaked bread, heavy onion, and garlic, Katleti anchor everyday dinners, from kindergarten to retirement. Soviet cookbooks dedicate entire chapters to Katleti, symbolizing reliability and warmth. Babushka grinds the meat herself, seasons by feel, shapes the patties, and fries them to a crispy shell. Leftovers go into school sandwiches, and fresh ones appear beside potatoes, buckwheat, or salad, following you through every chapter of family life. When days slow down, she pivots to a dish demanding patience and shared labor. Cabbage rolls wrapped one by one for the whole table. 8. Golubzy. Golubzy, cabbage rolls stuffed with rice and minced meat, carry their passport through nearly every land from Vienna to the Caucasus. Each region claims them, but in Russia, they settle into white cabbage leaves, simmered in tomato or sour cream sauce and shared from giant pots. Historians link Golubzy to Ottoman influences, with similar dishes popping up from Greece to Poland. At home, Babushka steams a whole cabbage, then peels the leaves and fills each one with yesterday's rice and scraps of meat. The rolls nestle tightly in a pot, covered with sauce that thickens as it cooks. By the next morning, any leftovers taste even better, sliced and reheated with extra sauce. After wrestling cabbage, the kitchen table fills with flour and chatter for dumpling day, when everyone, young and old, shapes dough and fills together. 7. Vareniki s kartoshkoy. Making Vareniki, half-moon dumplings filled with mashed potatoes, moves at the speed of stories, not clocks. You cannot rush the dough, and that slow process gathers family around the table for news, gossip, and laughter. Vareniki belong to Ukrainian heritage, but blend seamlessly into Russian kitchens, prized for their pillowy texture and easy comfort. Their relatives, Polish pierogi, Belarusian kalduni, complete the wider dumpling family. On dumpling day, Babushka kneads dough, children mash potatoes with onions, and adults seal and crimp the edges, each stage marked by stories and jokes. The dumplings boil, float, then get drenched in melted butter and fried onions crowned with a heavy dollop of sour cream. Full and happy, the family listens as grandfather promises something tougher for tomorrow. Siberian Pelmeni, engineered to survive the coldest winters. 6. Pelmeni, Siberian survival dumplings. Pelmeni might look dainty on the plate, but their roots stretch into Siberia's frozen wilderness, created as portable survival food for hunters and travelers. The name, meaning earbread in local Uralic languages, nods to their shape and purpose. Debate swirls around their origins. Some say Ural Mountains, others point to Mongol or Chinese influence, but everyone agrees Pelmeni kept families fed in the harshest times. Huge batches froze outdoors, ready for quick boiling over campfires. At home, we shape dough circles, fill them with seasoned pork and beef, pinch tight, and freeze by the tray. When hunger hits, Pelmeni go straight from the freezer to boiling water, then onto plates slick with vinegar, butter, or smetana. After days of dough, the kitchen returns to comfort with a pot of chicken noodle soup. Medicine, lullaby, and feast all at once. Pivan Kurini soup s lapshoy. Every cold, cough, or gray day in our family brings out a pot of Kurini sup s lapshoy, where chicken broth bubbles with noodles, potatoes, carrots, and mountains of dill. The tradition comes from stretching a whole chicken over several meals, a Soviet skill born of necessity and creativity. Old memoirs remember enamel pots of soup cooling on windowsills, guarded from stray cats and hungry siblings. Babushka demands patience, skimming broth for clarity, then adding hand-cut noodles. The result feels lighter than most Russian fare, so even kids ask for seconds. As the pot empties, a new craving builds for soup on the opposite end of the flavor spectrum, salty, smoky, and famous as a morning-after cure. 4. Solyanka. Solyanka always surprises as its briny, meaty chaos blends everything from deli meats to olives, pickles, and lemon. The name once meant settler's stew, and in the 17th century, Solyanka meant a hot dish of cabbage, salted cucumbers, and whatever salty pickled foods were handy. By the 1830s, a soupy version evolved, eventually adding sausages, capers, and sour cream to balance all the sharp flavors. Solyanka soon became known as pokmelka, hangover cure, packing enough punch to jolt anyone back to life. Soviet shops sold canned Solyanka, and even East German restaurants adopted it, keeping it alive long after the USSR faded away. If Solyanka feels too wild, Russians turn to Rassolnik, a soup that celebrates the liquid everyone else throws away, pickle brine. Tretий Rassolnik. Building a soup around pickle brine sounds odd until you taste Rassolnik, which transforms what others discard into a point of pride. Its roots reach into the 15th century, descended from old Kalya recipes loaded with fermented flavors. Traditional Rassolnik combines beef or pork kidneys, pearl barley, potatoes, and generous cups of cucumber brine, which gives the soup its unmistakable tang. After the revolution, families swap kidneys for more common ingredients, and Leningrad versions settle on potatoes and barley as the main filler. My grandmother often chooses barley and potatoes, then adds chopped pickles at the last minute for a crunchy finish, tweaking the sourness with extra brine. This soup underlines how much Russians value acidity, but to fully grasp the country's love of sour, you need to taste Shchi, a cabbage soup that built its own proverb and identity. Second Shchi. One phrase, Shchi de kasha, pishcha nasha, says more about Russian food than the whole library. Shchi, the cabbage soup, landed in Kiev on Rus as soon as Byzantine cabbage arrived in the 9th century, becoming a staple so reliable it even changed language. By the 10th century, Shchi had become so common that everyone repeated the proverb, cementing cabbage soup and porridge as the foundation of the Russian diet. Shchi's secret lies in flexibility. Meat or no meat, fresh or fermented cabbage, carrots, mushrooms, and the ability to survive endless reheating. Some versions even froze into travel blocks for winter journeys. My grandmother makes summer Shchi with fresh cabbage and a splash of tomato, while winter Shchi uses sauerkraut for sharpness. Both always come with rye bread and a swirl of smetana. Shchi built the logic that sour means home. Borscht picks up that lesson and explodes it in color. 1. Borscht. Borscht carries a passport stamped with wars, migrations, and family arguments, yet everyone recognizes its deep crimson glow. Early Slavic cooks made borscht from wild hogweed, only adding beets centuries later. Today, the Ukrainian version, with beetroot at center, won recognition by UNESCO as cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Some 19th century recipes list more than 20 ingredients, and wealthy families served several types of borscht in a single meal. Journalist James Meek once described it as the common denominator of the Soviet kitchen, connecting everyone from Kremlin elites to remote factory workers. Even in 1961, a Soviet space capsule tested its equipment by broadcasting a borscht recipe back to Earth. At home, Babushka simmers beef bones, drops in beets, cabbage, potatoes, garlic, and dill, and finishes the pot with a clove of raw garlic crushed with pork fat. She swears the soup gets better after a night in the fridge, especially after shoveling snow. And by the time you finish that last spoonful, you see the truth. Every dish on this list tells not just a recipe, but a full chapter in the story of Russia, where history is always served at the dinner table. If you thought one family recipe could hold so much history, just wait. There are still secrets hiding in every kitchen. Keep watching.